So we are here with Local 130 in Calgary, Alberta. My name's Quentin, and I have the pleasure of talking with Jeff Metzger. By trade, I know really nothing about the elevator mechanics. I'm assuming elevator and escalators is mostly what you guys work with. I've only ever had to work around you guys once, and that was when they were building the Rogers Arena in Edmonton. When people think about the trades, they usually will think about the major ones, whether that be becoming an electrician, a carpenter, maybe a plumber, or a mechanic. And a lot of people don't realize that working on elevators or escalators is actually a trade. And I was wondering if you could give us more information about that.
It's a very unique trade with lots of different requirements when you're on the job, and lots of people don't actually know what we do. Often when you say elevators, they're thinking grain elevators, not the ones in buildings, and it's a form of transportation that people use every day, and especially downtown areas where they're working all the time, or condos to get up and down, and nobody really thinks about how it was built and who looks after, maintains that, make sure it's safe for the general public. It's a small group of guys that have a lot of responsibility with the general public to make sure everyone's safe and the equipment's working properly. And obviously when people know that we exist, it's usually because their elevator stopped working and they're upset. So we want to try and make sure that their equipment's installed correctly and running as much as possible with no downtime.
So you are the business manager of Local 130 here. If you don't mind me just picking your brain, how did you get into this trade? How did you become a member of this local, and how did you get into the position that you are in?
I started out in the trade nearly 21 years ago, and my background was trying to get into law enforcement. I went into college, got a diploma, got a degree, and I applied at several places. And just the more I thought about that as a career and seeing some of the people that I used to work with get into that type of career, I kind of realized more and more that it wasn't for me. I had two different buddies. They were both in the trade, and their dads were both in the trade, and just talking with them, and I became very interested in getting involved. Got hired on, and went through my apprenticeship and joined the union. And throughout my career, I've held different positions with the union, on the executive board and as an instructor. Some other committees that we have, was the vice president as well. And then last year I got voted into the business manager position.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I've been doing that just under a year now. It was very good for me to get those experiences and dealt with a lot of different members throughout my experience, as well as the other trades, and just getting the responsibility of dealing with people on site and making sure that stuff runs smoothly on a job. And my main background was on construction side of things.
For people who don't really know what a business manager is, can you give me a rundown of what it is you do day to day, what it is you oversee, and kind of, I guess, how you keep 130 just moving forward?
That's a great question. I didn't even fully understand what I was getting into when I got this position, and one of the good friends I had that I mentioned earlier that got me thinking about getting into the trade was actually in this position. And even being close friends with him, I didn't get to see everything, because a lot of what we do is kind of behind the scenes stuff. Just a lot of dealing with the members and the employers, different parts of the industry as a whole, working with the building trades and different people to do with code related stuff. I think it's important to have a really good relationship with everybody, because we have to work together. A lot of the past has been us versus them thing, and that's one thing I've really like to try not to have. Obviously when it comes to a grievance or something like that, then we have to stand our ground, but generally we're trying to have a good culture with the employers to make sure that everyone's working, everyone's happy.
If you don't mind me asking, because I've been to a couple different locals now at this point, and I've seen business managers kind of in the age range of the 50s and the high 40s. You're probably one of the younger business managers I've worked with. So how does it feel being in the position you're in? Do you feel like that comes with challenges from your peers or people that know you from maybe being on the tools with you at one point?
I don't feel it's challenging as in feeling like people don't respect what we're doing here. Personally, I have a good relationship with most of the people in the local for years. I was able to establish trust and different levels of respect within the membership, which was how you get into one of these jobs, as it's a voted in position. So the term's 3 years, I'm 1 year in. So in order for me to run things properly and make sure that I get reelected, I have to make sure that I'm maintaining those relationships and
Holding your end of the bargain.
Yeah, exactly. And making sure people still have that trust in you the next time around.
I gotta bring this up because this is something I see on social media all the time. I have a lot of tattoos, and I can't help but notice you got tattoos, you got a facial piercing. It's still a very common thing I'll see online where tattoos will limit you in a career, facial piercings will limit you in a career. There's some truth to that within reason. But if someone was to get into this trade, or any trade for that matter, your opinion, and that's all I'm asking is just your opinion. Do you think tattoos, piercings, body modifications can limit someone within a career in the trades?
I haven't really experienced that attitude. I mean, we're bringing on new people all the time, and I would say 75 to 80% of them look similar to me. So when they walk through the door for a test or an interview, they're probably somewhat relieved to see that someone in this position is just another one of them. I got voted into this position by being a mechanic, and I'm not a politician. I'm a mechanic that's just here doing a different job. So I think it's important that you're relatable at the same time to the guys that are in the field.
Here at Local 130, you guys have currently 400 members approximately within your jurisdiction. Talking about your members, what about maybe females or like First Nations? How do your numbers look like in regards to that?
I wouldn't know the exact dynamics of it, but we do have all kinds of different ethnicities, and there's some females in our trade, and they're doing quite well. One of them who's in a position with the union as the secretary for our union, and then another one currently running for an executive board position. So there is definitely opportunities for everyone. We do have some people with Indigenous backgrounds.
Okay, so with this trade, like I said earlier, like I'm not super familiar with it. What kind of background do they have? What kind of experience do they have when they want to essentially join Local 130 or the Elevator Mechanics Union?
Generally, the backgrounds we're looking for when we're hiring is trade experience. Oftentimes, people with some different life experience or trade experience will be given a priority over others who don't have that background. But I mean, we have guys not too far out of high school as well that have got into the trade and do quite well.
It's safe to assume that a lot of your guys' work revolves around commercial and residential?
With our industry, it's 95% on the commercial side or the residential style condos, but we do have like a couple of contractors who also deal with like home residential elevators as well. But yeah, there's not as much of that within our trade.
What are the average working hours or work weeks look like for you guys?
Typically, it depends on which contract you're working under. They're generally a 40-hour work week.
What about on the higher end, like if there was a real push to get something done?
There could be asks of you to work overtime. It's not a requirement. Different jobs, you might be looking at like 12-hour days or something. Some of the bigger companies that we have that would generally be looking for that type of overtime also have pretty high safety standards, so they're trying to eliminate working excessive overtime.
Trying to avoid the burnout on people.
Yeah, exactly. A mistake in our industry can be fatal pretty quickly, so it's important that guys are working safe and working alert.
As a disclaimer, just in case anyone's watching this, currently Local 130 is not actively looking for members, and that this video is just kind of an informal video of like what the trade is and so on and so forth, right? Just so that's clear as mud.
Yeah, we've hired more this year than we typically do, but the numbers we hire are usually generally quite low. So we're not doing this as a promotional recruitment video, but just like
what is the trade and what is the union about? Yeah.
Right.
So going back to first years,
Yeah.
to my understanding, generally speaking, first year makes approximately 60% of a journeyman rate. So that's what, 35 to 40 bucks an hour for a first year, somewhere in that ballpark?
Yeah, so for us, your first 6 months, you're known as a probationary helper. That's 50%, so it'd be $32.82 an hour. And then after your 6 months, you get bumped up to 55%, and you would carry that rate until you're done your first year of schooling.
Your guys' apprenticeship, I'm going to assume it's a 3-year or is it a 2-year program?
It's a 4-year program.
4-year program?
Yeah.
Okay. So then it would go from like 55, I think is what you said, for first years?
Yeah. After your first year, it goes to 70, and then it's 5% per year till you're completed your schooling.
That is a huge pay jump from first to second.
Yeah, it's something that we had to do a few years back to get the wages we were looking for at the top end. So it does you stay down at the lower end for a bit longer, but once you're done that first year of school, it's a big bump up.
When you work with the union and they do ask you, your employer, to work overtime, I know there are agreements and it can vary from region to region, but generally speaking, if we just went off the 40-hour work week and nothing crazy in regards to an agreement, your 8 hours will be your straight time based on a Monday to Friday.
Right.
Your 10-hour mark, so from 8 hours to 10 would be time and a half, and then anything after 10 essentially would be double time with you guys.
It depends on which agreement, again, you're working under. So anything that falls under the construction agreement is automatic double time after 8 hours. We do have a 4 10-hour work week as well that sometimes gets utilized by the employer. So that wouldn't kick in there until after the 10 hours, but you get your Fridays off. But anything that falls outside those regular 40 hours is double time on that contract. And then on the maintenance side, it's time and a half for any overtime except for holidays or Sundays.
So
and then that would be double time.
That would be double time. Okay.